Can you hear me now? I apologize. I'm so sorry that you were not. I was like yakety yak yak. Can you hear me now? You're not audible. Okay. Oh, lovely. I love it when. Don't you love it when that happens? Okay. Hopefully that is fixed now. I didn't realize that happened. Video without voice. Gorgeous. Okay, you can hear me. Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, lovely. So, as I was saying, um, what I wanted to do today was a little bit different. Can you hear me? Okay, hopefully you can hear me. I'm getting these messages, they're very discouraging. Hopefully you can hear me. Yes. Okay, awesome. We are back. Let's disregard the previous 2 minutes. We're starting. If I can, I'll edit it out. But this is the beauty. I was saying I'm live streaming from my niece's bedroom here in London. We're on break from last week. The kids are off school. So, anyway, I didn't want to miss this live stream. This is a little bit special, but it's a little bit different because what I wanted to do was look at Diwali. And obviously, firstly, I wanted to wish happy Diwali to all my Indian friends. Whether you're from India, living in India, doesn't really matter. Hope you had a lovely Diwali. Wish you um, lots of health, wealth, and happiness. That's what I was saying when you said I couldn't be heard. Hope lots of great things come your way. And what I wanted to do today was, irrespective of the faith that you follow, irrespective of what you do in your career, because we all have a career, we all have a purpose, right? The idea today was to see some of the universal concepts that come from the festival of Diwali and how we can apply them to our own career. I wanted to do a little take on it, and I found a fantastic article. If you want to get more detail, I will link that article as well for you in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love that you guys are here. Very happy Diwali. I'm very impressed with your Hindi, Nigel. Fantastic. Good. So let's get cracking. I've got about half an hour, and then we have to go out with the family. All right. The first lesson that I think is very universal that comes from Diwali that I think you can apply to your own career is that the concept of wealth creation, the concept of acquiring wealth is a good thing. That is something that is highly encouraged, especially during the, all my Indian friends will know, around October, November, right? However, we also get to hear about the corrupting nature of wealth. You know what I mean? And how you need to be a good person. And I get that. But at the same time, I've been harping on, for example, salary negotiation, which is your own way of wealth creation when you are in employment. I've been harping on that for years here. And the reason is, when you do good work, I think wealth comes towards you. So today will be a little bit like a soapbox. It will be a little bit like a TED talk. But I wanted to stress this because I don't think wealth creation is the aim. I think wealth creation is the reward. So when you do good work and you work hard and you do it with a pure heart, wealth comes your way. But please don't be fooled by people who say that wealth is not important. The goddess of wealth and abundance is Lakshmi in my faith. And everyone welcomes Lakshmi, and we talk about lights, and I'm going to talk about lights in my next few points. But it's not the goal, it's the outcome, if you know what I mean. It's the result from the good that you do. So, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And anyone who tells you that wealth can corrupt you, they're coming from their own place of scarcity. They are people who've never really had wealth, right? You look around you, you see people who have and I'm talking about specifically financial wealth. When you look around you and you see people who have financial wealth, they never take it for granted. They know it's something that can come and go, and they respect it, right? So don't forget every now and then to get in touch with the psychology of money, because we all have certain beliefs around money from childhood, and they come from our parents, they come from friends, they come from everything that we've learned over the years. And the psychology of money is very real, and it has a huge impact on our earning power today. Let me know if you agree. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and if you have anything further to add, I'd love to read all about it. So, all right. Lots of Diwali wishes. You're very kind. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Yeah. Gee, it's a lot to do with karma, and I don't think karma is something that is, you know, only exclusive to Hinduism or anything like that. Because a lot of people think karma is religion. At the end of the day, there's so many other religions that talk about the same thing. Absolutely understand that. So let me know what you think about this, that wealth creation and acquiring wealth and being financially comfortable. I know that this is something in the West we're like, duh. You're like, of course it is. Um, but for a lot of us coming from other cultures, it's something that needs a bit of a mindset shift. So riches can be good, wealth creation can be good. Lesson number 2: you can have the most beautiful house on Diwali, lit up with the best possible lights. But your heart is dark and your heart is in a sad place or a bad place, it won't really matter and it won't really impact your inner light. Because at the end of the day, what are we all, right? We're a little ball of energy. We come here out of the blue, it's totally random, one in a trillion chances of just being alive. We spend, what is it, 70, 80, 90 years in the millennium, in the millions of years that the earth has been here, and then we go. That's it. It's so random. So that little ball of light, that little ball of energy is all there is, and that's light, and that's our inner light, right? So we can have all those lights outside on Diwali, and you have those on Christmas, you have those on so many other occasions, on in different faiths, in different religions. It's great to have them, and they need to point at the inner light, and that needs to continue to burn. Because when the inner light stops burning, that is when we have those extremely strong feelings of depression, loneliness, and particularly for all of you who are in the northern hemisphere, our days are getting shorter, our nights are getting longer. There is a very serious impact for some of us who are more sensitive to it. And it's like, in worst case scenarios, suicide rates go up as well, right? So the best possible way to have that inner light continue to shine bright is to help others. That's it. No matter what you're doing, you're showing up. I'm showing up. I'm on holiday. I want to do other things, but this gives me joy. I'm not just doing this for you, I'm doing this for me because it gives me this adrenaline high. So the outer light is lovely, especially on Diwali, the dark days of Diwali that follow. But the inner light is the one that needs to continue to burn. I know I sound a bit preachy today, but when we have that inner light, how we show up at our work and how we show up at interviews, you can see. I mean, G is an HR person. She knows when someone shows up and you're like, not only are they prepared, not only did they do their homework, but they have something extra, and that is energy. We know this, guys. You see this with friends. You're like, something is wrong. There's something about her. Yeah, it's the energy, it's that light. And when that light is missing, that needs a spark. And that is something we need to do to help each other on. That's lesson number 2 when it comes to career lessons from Diwali. What do you think? Any comments? Happy Diwali to everyone tuning in. Love that you guys are joining. Appreciate your time. Wealth creation is good. Yeah, I think Ashish, you're very right. I think it also comes down to our intention. You're very right. That's a great point. Hey, Risto, wealth is not the aim, but the byproduct. That's it. I think you said it perfectly, Risto. You said it better than I could. I think I rambled for 5 minutes, but you've said it best in like 10 words. You've definitely done that. Hey, Rahul, great that that video helped you. And it's not the aim in itself, right? To make sure that you have good wealth, but it's also what you do with that wealth at the end of the day, right? You do something good with that wealth, right? Hey, Kwan, Helpers High is real. If you go to Google, I mentioned this on Kwan's podcast, Helpers High. There's a very deep dopamine and psychology paper done at Berkeley that talks about Helpers High and helping others. All right. Outer light versus inner light. Yes, fantastic. Hey, G, super grateful for you. Thank you. Number 3, let's talk about the third one. And that is, you've got to believe. And here the operative word is believe. You've got to believe that good triumphs over evil, because that is the whole premise of Diwali. You have Lord Ram, who's a king. I'm simplifying it. My Indian friends are going to be like, ugh, what is she saying? I'm simplifying it, oversimplifying it. You have a good king. You have another king who was supposedly very good and extremely intelligent. He had the intelligence of 10 people in one head. That's why you see Ravan with 10 heads. But stuff happened and he wasn't that good anymore, right? So then he became the bad guy. So you have good triumph over evil. It took years to do that. The king lost 14 years of his life, but he made it work. Point is, the hope was never lost, right? And the king returned back home, and that's why we have Diwali and we have candles and we have lights. And that happened to be a night without moon, but everything was lit up because of all the candles and all the lights, which is why Diwali is always 19 days after the Sahara, and that is the day when you have no moon. The thing is, the evil doesn't always have to be evil outside. It can be. A lot of people will say social media is evil, social media is corrupting, just like we said in point number 1, wealth is corrupting. You have trolls, you have people who are constantly bringing others down. So you're like, I'm not going to do it. You have that's evil. Yes, different versions of evil, right? I think it's a sliding scale. But you also have evil within: anger, envy, jealousy, mistrust, cynicism. There's no point trying. The hiring manager is useless. They don't know what they want. I'm rejected because those people don't understand my value. So that cynicism, firstly, it's so difficult to live with. But point is, you can triumph over that if you choose to do so. And people who do that tend to have a much more successful career. You know what I mean? They are the ones who tend to get promoted. They are the ones who are recognized a lot more and are, sent to different assignments abroad, etc. That hope and that faith that if things are not looking up, things are not looking great, that's okay. That hope that the good inside other people, the good inside you, will triumph over it. I know it's like I said, oversimplifying, but at the end of the day, that hope is everything in humanity. And we don't have that hope anymore. Life just becomes a little bit sad and long to live in. You know what I mean? So fantastic. All right. And I said 3 in the description box up over the video, over the live stream, but I'm going to just do 2 more and I'm going to do them very quickly. And then I shall take your leave. But if you guys have questions, which are burning questions and you can't wait, then please put them in the comments as well towards the end, and put capital letters question and then your question so that I don't miss it. All right. Number 4, this is also true in so many other religions. Gifts are a big thing on Diwali, right? And I'm talking material gifts. Yes, they're a big deal. There'll be sweets, there'll be salty gifts, there'll be, I don't know, a car, somebody gets a house. There's all types of gifts. But I want you to think about something small you've done lately for someone, and or something small that someone did for you, but you still remember that. Think what that was. And how can you do that? If you appreciate someone and someone's been showing up for you, particularly when times have been hard, you don't necessarily have to go and spend a lot of money. A simple thing on LinkedIn is, and I talked about it last week, is surprise someone. Surprise someone, recommend them on LinkedIn, endorse them, endorse their skills. Those little things mean a lot. And they get a notification that someone did that, and they'll say, hey, that's so sweet, I didn't expect it. Those are great surprises. I know that Christmas and Diwali are all about gifts. They've become such a commercial thing now, but they don't always have to be about the same material gifts and comparing and what size that person, what gift they got. And let's face it, a lot of gifts aren't that great. A lot of gifts we end up recycling. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? You'll get like dry fruit and you'll be like, okay, this is the 16th box of dry fruit. I'm going to pass it to that. Oh, come on. That's not the point. The gift is supposed to bring joy. It's not necessarily all about a circular economy when it comes to Diwali gifts, you know? So think about those little gifts. And Diwali is a lot about those gifts. And it don't have to be about big gifts either. There's so many ways to show your love and gratitude towards someone. All right. Hey, Pranit, ask me the question again. I'll come back to you with a capital letter so I don't miss it. All right, good question. Number five, we are more alike than we realize. People talk about diversity higher, diversity, inclusion. Yeah, of course, that's important, but we need to tap into how alike we are. For example, as a job seeker, we approach the company as this thing. It's actually a person who's going to interview us. They're not that different from us. They have day to day problems. They have a particular reason they are looking for someone to fill that role. You have a problem, you need something done, you want your insurance done, you need your car fixed. It's not that different. You're looking for someone who can solve your problem. They are looking for someone who can solve their problem. So that's one silly little way you can talk about how alike we are. The other thing is when we start working in a company, we have so much unconscious bias, right? We don't even realize it. We're like, we don't know we're doing this, but we're putting people in boxes. Oh, this is the cool gang here. Okay, they sit at that lunch table. This is the gang that looks like a bunch of nerds, just like we did in high school, right? This is the gang I think I can hang out with. We don't know we're doing it, but we're doing it. There's a lot more in common than we realize. So go out there. What does this mean? Go out there and talk to people who are different, who you think are different from you. They're not that different. They're struggling through some things that you're probably struggling through as well. It's just our assumptions that, yeah, they look different, they talk different, they dress completely different, they smell different. I don't know what they're eating. Actually, the humanity side of things just mushes it all together and it just blends together very beautifully. So whether you're following, whether you celebrate Diwali or Hanukkah or Christmas or I don't know, Eid, anything. It's the Parsi New Year. It's people are people, and I get a lot of questions on different cultures and what was it like working in Latin America and how different is it from India, or how is France different from Uruguay or Belgium. My first thing when I every single time I answer is like, actually there's more things in common than there are differences. The universality, I think that's a strength. If you can see it that way, I think that's a strength. I seriously believe that. What do you think? Yeah, lovely. So fantastic. I think your comment here is about the recycling of gifts. I know what you mean. And the book that is very interesting is the Ramayana. Ashish, thank you for pointing it out. And Lord Ram is the king that I spoke about, the good king, and Ravan's management style. All right, fantastic. So this was it. Before I jump into your questions, I wanted to share career lessons from Diwali. I said I would say three, and I started off with three, but I ended up doing five. We're just going to do a quick recap. Riches and wealth creation is good. However, keep in mind they are the outcome or the byproduct, not the aim of your career or your business. Outer lights that we have on Diwali, they need to point to the inner lights and help them burn, continue to burn as long as we are alive, right? And obviously, I talked a lot more in how it impacts your career. The good that triumphs over evil, you've got to believe, sincerely believe that it's possible. Small gifts, particularly small gifts and unexpected gifts, I think are a great way to show your love and gratitude towards someone. And festivals are an excuse to do that. But I'm also going to go out on a limb and say you don't have to wait for Diwali or Christmas to show your love and gratitude, right? And you don't have to wait for their birthday. It could be any occasion. You've always got a choice. And there's so much universality in faiths around the world, in people at your workplace, the boss, all those boxes, all those sort of cliches and we typecast them, there's a lot more in common. So if you're interested to read this in detail, the article that I found was on this website, which I will link on LinkedIn in the comments as well. So, all right, this was the little Diwali special on 5th of November 2021. And I'm going to now go into the questions that you have. Hey, Rahul, I've accepted it because there is no bad. Good will lose its value. I love being the good guy. Hey, good on you, man. Continue to be the good guy. I think the world needs a lot more of that. So, absolutely appreciate your message. Okay, Pranit, how do you love your job? I think, Pranit, you can't force it. It's like, how do you love a person? But maybe deep down, you don't love that person and you're doing your best. I think some things come a little bit more naturally. See the good in your job and how is it helping you to get to the next step in your career, and ask a couple of questions. You can see online, you can do some free strength based personality tests, and you can get the results from those personality tests. A good one that I've spoken about, go check out a podcast, not podcast, broadcast that I did, Supercharged Fridays, back in October. So it was exactly 1 month ago, early October. Can you believe it? We're in almost end of 2021. And this was with a lady called Diana Alt, and we did that. And she gave some examples of those tests. Now, what you do is when you see the results from those tests, does your job demand your strengths to come to the surface or not? You will know it immediately. It will not be a subjective, maybe it depends, nuance. No, it'll not be all that shades. It'll be very clear for you. And if the answer is no, you got to go and find out what you want. And then find a job that matches those interests, right? But I do think that there is good in every job, but we also have the drudgery and the not so nice things in our job that we need to do. I would say if you can have about 30-70 split, 30% you don't like to do, but you have to do it, but 70%, the majority of it is what you enjoy and it is tapping your strengths, that's a good thing. Then I think you're winning. That's a random answer, I know, but for me, it comes down to 30-70. And I was once at a job where it was 50-50 and I was drained. I knew there were some days it was 49-51. That's why I knew it was not the right job for me. So you will see it as well, when that's what I mean for you as well. I hope that helps you. Let's see. Any other questions? Nope. All right. I saw a question about, tell me something about labor courts. Pratyush, I don't know anything about labor courts. I'm not a lawyer, but I do have a session on employment law that I did 2 weeks ago with a London-based barrister called Kolarelli Shunaike. Check that one out. I think you'll get some useful things. Totally depends, I think, what you're looking for. So, all right. Happy Diwali, Gurpreet. Good morning to you. How do you deal with being homesick? Oh man, Anjali, I hear you. And I think this particularly, oh, it's particularly rough on holidays, right? And Diwali and all these big festivals, Christmas. I think you have something today that many of us didn't have years ago, and that is technology. So take advantage of the phone. Be as regular with your family, friends as you can. That's all I can say. And have that hope. Plan your travel in advance. When are you going to see them? I hope to be in India in December, God willing. I haven't seen my family in 2.5 years. So that is a very long time for us. But l- find joy in the day to day, in the present, as opposed to a yearning and a longing only to see people, because that may not be enough to carry you through. Do you know what I mean? Find joy in things and use the technology. Have a little routine. Maybe every morning when you wake up or just before bed, you're talking to your family or your friends. So you feel more in touch. Do you know what I mean? And then when you finally meet in person, of course, it's fantastic. There's no comparison, but at least you feel like you've picked up where you left off. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to months without talking, which I know is not ideal for anyone. Um, okay. Pratyush, okay. I think you mentioned this some time ago as well. your settlement is pending from the company. They're supposed to pay you and they haven't paid you. I That's awful. Sorry that you're going through this, particularly on Diwali. That's so depressing. I think that there is you've got to track it now, Pratyush. You got to think like a lawyer. So go back and watch that broadcast if you haven't done so, because we talked about unfair practices and if unfair employment practices. You've got to think like a lawyer, and that barrister, that lawyer who was with us in that session, he talked about documenting everything down. And you've got to start like having a paper trail. So what that means is, emails, everything is tracked, so you can prove it, so that if you need to tell them you're going to court, you're going to court. What I would avoid doing is, and I've seen many people do this, by the way, is publicly shaming them on Twitter and stuff like that. I mean, that's the last resort. I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't want to do that, but do whatever you can to ensure that you can solve this privately between you and them. And then if it becomes difficult, then you contact a lawyer. But avoid that one if as far as you can. And I wish you the best. I'm so sorry again, but it'll happen. Hey, Arkham. Recently, there's a topic of great resignation. Yeah, it is real. It is huge. And exactly this particular topic, we talked about it 2 weeks ago in the live stream with the employment lawyer. He's never been busier. People are leaving like left, right, and center. A lot of people think that the great resignation actually is all about the great, what is the word? I'm not finding the word. I think there was a different way of putting it. I read this in an article where it's like, um, enough is enough. So, compassion, companies that are, they have that attitude that they don't care, they are the ones who are going to suffer the most. And this is not a prediction, it's already happening. People are leaving employment, even if they were earning well, when they see that there are unfair practices or inhumane practices, right? I mean, my kid is sick and I haven't been employed, time off. You will be horrified at the type of stuff that's going on in the world. And COVID has, in a way, accelerated uh, reflection time on the big things in life. So it's very real. Absolutely. Hey, Risto. Lag. Okay. Always appreciated. Good way to make a positive impact. I don't know that word though. So I'm not really sure if that's a typo or if I have to say it, and I'm gonna be saying it wrong. All right. Hey Noel, I'm gonna take maybe one or two questions more, and then I will get out of your hair. What is a good question to ask an interviewer? I will ask Noel. I will tell you 10 questions. 10, not one. 10. Go to my YouTube channel and I give examples of 10. From those 10, I'm pretty sure two you can ask a senior leader as well. You can cherry pick the ones that you think are going to be suitable and you'll get a lot out of it. So, all right. Karthikeyan, hey, so any tips to overcome work routine fatigue, especially during extended work from home? Yeah, lots. This is very real. You've got to do one of the things I'm really worried about. For a lot of us is the work has become very sedentary, because when we used to commute we were physically moving, because a lot of us have stopped doing that. So you've got to take breaks. I can't stress this enough. Sometimes when we're very intense in the zone, we're working hard, it's like before you know it, it's 2-3 hours of sitting slumped in the same position. Your back is like this. So you got to get up, take breaks, you got to get out in the sun. It sounds very simple, but do you do it? Common sense is not common practice, right? Talk to someone, rest your eyes, don't be in front. When you take a break, a lot of us breaks means social media. That's not a break. For me, social media is not a break because I'm doing stuff related to my business or LinkedIn or email. Not good for you. So make sure those scheduled breaks are there, and make sure they're not involving screens. Make sure they're involved. Maybe talking to a neighbor. I don't know, the sky's the limit, but that will really help. And then if you can have boundaries, right? And think like a bureaucrat. What do I mean? Bureaucrat has certain hours they open and they close, and then they're like out for lunch, bureaucracy, red tape. Sometimes that's not a bad thing because they are able to divorce from the work time versus the leisure time. So then they're like, okay, whatever it looks like, 5 p.m., 7 p.m. for you, whatever it is, I'm done. I'm done. The thing is, the temptation is there because the laptop is there. But tell yourself you're going to do something else. Maybe make an appointment with a friend at 7, and then it doesn't involve your laptop. So that'll kill the temptation. And there are so many other ways that I'm sure you can Google on the internet as well. Okay. Let's see. I can see a few more questions. How do you buy time to accept an offer? You literally just ask them, yoga to world. Say, this is a very important decision for me. And may I ask for 3 days or 4 days? But don't keep them hanging, right? A lot of people, a lot of companies like to give time, but not too long because they're scared that you're talking to other companies and you may say no. Put yourself in their shoes, right? I understand where they're coming from. So typically companies have a thing about 48 hours. If you want a little more than that, then say so and say why you want more time. Just ask. It's not that complicated. This is an important decision for me. I wanted to discuss this with my husband, my wife, whatever. And then come back when you promise that you'll come back. I'll be back on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Then make sure you're back on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Because if you keep them hanging, they're going to get nervous. And then they're going to start talking to other candidates. All right. You're very right, Neeti. People have seen a different side of life and they don't necessarily like it. So that's a great point. Fantastic point. How do you tell your ex-employer that you got a new job? And okay, you got to ask for it, right, Raj? We talked about this in a previous question. So maybe if you haven't, please go and watch the replay. If they're ex-employers, you need to tell them you need the paperwork, because without that paperwork, you're not able to start in the new company. And please make sure you put it in writing. Call them up, but make sure you put it in writing. It's your right. They are not doing you any favors. I'm sorry, because I'm reading this a lot in other sessions as well. I'm sorry this is happening to you. I'd like to give the benefit of the doubt that they have a resource crunch or something like that, but it has to be solved pretty soon. You got to ask them, you got to be demanding. If you need to be pushy, you need to be pushy. So it will work. Okay. Hopefully I haven't missed any other question. Should people no longer be dependent on jobs in the current scenario? I don't really know what that means, Arkham. I'm sorry, I'm not going to have time to go into slightly more philosophical discussions. I think it's not a question of depend. You have a service to give and they have a need. So it's a transaction for me. It's a business transaction. Not sure about dependent, because you can also say the company depends on good talent. Do you know what I mean? It's how you look at it. Does a recruiter want an exact match between requirements and candidates' resume? Qualified candidates are mostly excluded for moving forward. Does recruiter want exact match? Recruiters are at the middle of the hiring manager and the candidate, Anjum. So it comes down to meeting the need, right? And they know that nobody is 100% fit. They know that. So I would say, forget about recruiter. What you need to do is, I would say, you'll have two lists. You'll have the desirable, nice to have. You'll see it. And then you'll have the must have, right? The must have, you need to make sure you meet those. Desirable, 50%, maybe 50, 60%. But overall, I would say if you can get a 70% fit approximately of the the ideal skills requirements that they need, you should definitely go and apply. And keep in mind, there's plenty of research that says that there is a gender impact on it as well. So let's say a man looks at a position, and I don't remember the exact data, but if it's a man who says, I match like 60% of the job requirements, I'm definitely going to apply, and he goes and applies. Woman looks at it and she says, to the exact same job, they have a very similar skill set and qualification and background, and she says, oh, I only meet 60%, I don't meet 100%, I'm not going to apply. So unfortunately, this happens in the world we live in. So make sure you're not bogged down by the gender trap. All right. Hey, Sonali, if you're asked how much salary would you expect, I have a whole video on what are your salary expectations. Check it out on YouTube. It's a long video that goes into a lot of detail. All right. Hari. All right. Good luck, Hari. All the best. Hey, Iris. If on a phone interview they ask you about salary, do you give them a number or do you tell them you're open for discussion? I would say open for discussion is my preferred answer. And I just mentioned earlier, if you want, you can get more details on that video. In fact, guys, I have a whole playlist on salary negotiation. Like you have everything you need free on my YouTube channel. So definitely check it out and subscribe. How do you get past the fear of restarting your career after an extended career break? Taking care of family. I understand that, Deepa. This is real. This is very real. I have a 17-minute masterclass on how to address employment gap in your career, in your resume, in your career. Yes. Watch that, because once you have a resume that you're proud of and you're able to explain those gaps without feeling guilty, without feeling shame, or without apologizing for yourself, right? You will be able to move past it to the next step of restarting your career, because you need to have, you can't go to step 5 without crossing 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you're at 0 right now, number 5 looks very scary. I get it. I get it. Believe it or not, I've been there more than once. So you'll get a lot out of that video. It's called Addressing Career Gaps. I've done it 2 times. One is a shorter version, one is a 17-minute version. So watch either one of them. You'll get a lot out of it. Lots of Diwali wishes here. Okay. Risto, you explained it. Lagnayap is something that is given or obtained gratuitously by way of good measure. Okay. Thank you. I learned something today, particularly a new word, which is totally different. Okay. All right. Okay, you saw the salary negotiation video and the approach, but before I could start negotiation, HR said they actually have given. Okay, so if you see that video, I did talk about the fact that some places they don't have scope for negotiation. Then you have 2 choices: you take it or you leave it. You take it or you walk. Be comfortable with either choice, right? And it'll just simplify things a little bit for you. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for your questions. Again, very happy Diwali to all my peeps in India and from India, and wherever you are in the world. You have Indian friends, I'm sure. We're lovely people. So I'm sure you to some extent or the other, know a little bit about Diwali. These were 3 to 5 career lessons from the festival of Diwali that I shared. And thank you for tuning in. That as you can probably tell, if you're not in Europe, our time has changed. So there's a 1 hour forward of the clock. And it'll always be 2 p.m. In Belgium, but the time may vary according to wherever you are. Hey Nigel, let me see what you are doing. You are impressing me no end. मैं आपको और आपके परिवार में खुश दीपावली की शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ. बहुत धन्यवाद. So much joy to read in Hindi. I don't read Hindi that much. What Nigel wrote was a very lovely Diwali to you and your family, from my family to yours. So appreciate that. Thank you. Happy Diwali, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. Watch out for that. That was my favorite lesson of all the ones. Keep your inner light burning, and see you next week, same time.